So you're thinking about starting a business.
These brothers my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side, CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice. These brothers my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side, CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Paul with Spheric Reptiles, and I thank you so much for tuning in today about a reptile business. I think this is our third video on this. I know we normally put out videos on the, economic side of the reptile industry and talk about percentages and things like that. But what I really wanted to do is try to make it more simple as to how, or the things that are vital to you starting a reptile business. And, let me know what you think about this video. Of course, I brought Sugar, my pastel calico. A lot of you guys remember, if you started with us when we first began, we bought her as a hatchling, right? Now, I do think that you should buy hatchlings, because sometimes that's the easiest way for you to get the animal that you want. But for most of our females, we really don't shoot for recessives. We just kind of shoot for a lot of incomplete dominance, because if we get the powerhouse male, as I've already said, then we can put it to these other females, ended up with a lot of different color variations. But that's not why you tuned into this video. So I want to discuss with you just 5 things. I said 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like what was his name? Schultz off of the Janko. That was one of my favorite movies, when it came out, but anyway, 5 things that you can do to start your reptile business. So starting off, should you start a reptile business? Well, I think that if you have more than 5 reptiles, or say you have 10 reptiles, because 5, you're not going to really think about starting a business. But if you have about 10 reptiles or 15 or 20 reptiles, you got so many that your hobby is ran like a business, whether you like it or not. Because you actually have to feed your animals every week. You got to care for them. You got to buy all their husbandry things and stuff like that. So whether you start a business or not, I want you in the mind frame of thinking as if you're starting a business, so that it runs a little bit more smoothly and your animal's care is never neglected. $40,000, $50,000 ball pythons in the world is a lot, or 70,000 ball pythons in the world is a lot when they're on the market? I don't really think so, because still only 3 to 4% of Americans own ball pythons. Now, I don't know the statistics around the world, but just 3%. I mean, 3%, that's nothing. But let me kick to you something, right? Because I'm always thinking, and numbers just don't lie, right? And I don't have numbers for this, but this is something that you know. So Walmart was around a lot longer than Amazon. And Walmart came and took the place of Kmart, to a degree Target, and Target had to restructure. But there were a lot of brands that actually went out of business because of Walmart, right? So how does someone like Jeff Bezos come in, and his wife at the time, and create Amazon? And now if we think about Amazon, it's the largest company in the world. So how did that happen? That market was saturated, right? No one thought that anybody could ever beat Walmart, right? So number one thing people are going to tell you, it's not a good time. But it wasn't a good time for Amazon either. Secondly, Apple. Now, a lot of people may not like Apple, they may not have Apple products, but they have a smartphone, right? If you got a Samsung, you basically got an Apple, right? So before the Apple was the Nokia, and then what else was out there? The BlackBerry, I had all those. And before all of that was those little flip phones that fit in your pocket, kept really bad reception, the antennas popped out all the time. And before that was pagers. Now, each one of those markets was competing against Ma Bell. Pac Bell, Southern Bell, Southwestern Bell, however you name it, Atlantic Bell, but they were competing against Bell. And so that was a saturated market. You remember phone booths? Now they were everywhere. But anyway, now we have smartphones. Everybody has it now. How many of y'all actually have a telephone in your house? I'm waiting, I wanna hear it. Definitely wanna hear it. I don't know hardly anybody who has a telephone in their house. Not even my parents have a phone anymore. So number one, I brought Casey Bonner with me. He's an IMG Hypo, Motley, Het Anery Type 1, Het VPI. I mean, he was really a good find for us. I wanted a boa constrictor for a while. And, I just wanted to take the time to bring him out so that you guys can see him. So number one, you need to have reptiles, right? You got to have some reptiles. your husbandry has to be on point. Like once you start adding in more and more animals, some kind of way, you got to streamline that shit, right? You got to have a feeder source and you got to have equipment. I'm not saying that you got to go out and buy a Wilbanks incubator or a sea serpent incubator. You can DIY your incubator if you have something that has eggs. Well, boa constrictors, they have oviparous births, so they don't lay eggs, but that might be an option that you have to decide on too. Do I want something that lays eggs or live births? But I think the number one thing that you gotta have is a good feeder source. It has to be reliable, it has to be within your budget, and just whether it's a hobby or a business, you gotta find out how you're gonna get it, whether it's frozen thawed or live. If you get a lot of reptiles, especially ball pythons, you run into like some finickiness. Some of them only take live, some of them do frozen thawed. I think ours are about 70-30 frozen thawed to live. So, and I'm still trying to convert them over. All of our newborns are eating frozen thawed. So that's just number one. That's one thing that you need. So just think about it, guys. I mean, how many of y'all actually still have a pager? So for number two, you gotta have some kind of business plan, whether it's a hobby or not, just writing something out in a folder that says, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. So if you're thinking about reproducing, that's when this comes into play. So how many will you produce? What the hell will you produce? Who will you sell it to? So what's your demographic? Are you gonna try to sell these things online? Are you gonna do local shows? Are you gonna do green sheets? Do they still have green sheets, baby? I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen any, but I don't look for newspapers either. Like, how many of y'all still read the newspaper? I'm just trying to show you the evolution of things, how now we get digital media and hardly any print media. I mean, nobody has a subscription to Time magazine anymore, right? I think doctor's offices maybe. But also, how will you pay for all of this? So what's your financing going to be like? So if it's a budget, we have a bank account. And lastly, for number two, for the business aspect, will you have a sole proprietorship or will you form an LLC? But I tell you what, if you get in touch with your Secretary of State and your state comptroller, you're gonna need them both because you're gonna need, well, you'll need the IRS first to get your employee identification number, your EIN. Then once you get that, you'll need a taxpayer number from an LLC. They'll give you that, and then you need a separate number if you get a sales tax license from your state comptroller. But they're very simple. I mean, Texas is a huge state and they are so helpful. I mean, I have not had to go outside and pay anybody to do anything because they're just so helpful. They want businesses, right? Each economy wants businesses. Each state wants people that are going to start businesses. So that's just something to think about, guys. And that's just number two. So you got your feeder source, your husbandry, and your business plan. Number three, I'm going to discuss the accounting principles. So you got to have some sort of a spreadsheet or something. And I brought one of our first babies, and this is a phantom head clown. I actually had to assist feed her for her first, 3 meals? For her first 3 meals, taking Pinky all the way up to a rat pup and assist feeding her with that. So if you're not ready to do that, then I don't know if you're ready to, really go deep into the hobby or to form a business, but she is definitely doing good now. When she was born, I think she was like around 40 grams, so she was really small. I just didn't think she would make it. Now, the smallest one of the litter was the hungriest of the litter, and she's already been sold, so we only have 3 remaining from this clutch. And amazingly, we sold them all locally without doing online, or I think we sold some at the Reptile in Grapevine. Yeah, we did. I'm not gonna lie and say we did. Your accounting principles, guys, your accounting principles. So whether it's an Excel spread, just some kind of way to track it. I just use Excel spreads for mine because I can create the bullet point and write out how much I pay for something so that, and when it comes tax time, I summarize everything. So you got to break it down into assets. Is it something that you're using all the time? Like your gas, they have apps for that. I use Mile IQ. I'm not sponsored by them, but it's a good app for me because it tracks your total miles and your miles that are just dedicated for business or for your hobby, depending on how you want to do it. I mean, IRS lets you do that for 3 years and, then 3 or 4 or 5 years. Then you have to show a profit. But yeah, man, that's it. You come up with some solid accounting principles. Your bank can probably help you a lot with that because there's tons of apps that can track everything for you. Then you got to get like Square and all that other stuff. But that's just something to think about, guys, so that when you're making these beautiful animals, that you have a way to at least at least cover the food and maybe a little bit more for a vacation. I mean, what are we talking about? All right, so now we've discussed 3 things, so husbandry, then you got to have your business plan. I think that's important. Then you have to have some accounting principles. And I brought our Batman clown, or Bruce Wayne, and he's really big. He's up to like 1,600 grams, and now he's only eating, we typically feed him 2 adult mice because I don't want him to get fat, because fat leads to early death. I don't know if you guys know that, but if you're fat, especially, damn, I should take my own advice. But anyway, because my weight is up there, I'm trying to tell you. But yeah, Bruce Wayne here is the father of our latest clutch with the spot nose, and you guys probably watched that egg cutting and the reveal for those. I still haven't sexed them yet. They're just a little too nippy. I want them to get a little bit more used to me before I start messing with them. I don't want to agitate them and ingrain some bad habits. But the next thing that you have to do for number 4 is find out if you need a permit. Because in Texas, you don't need a permit for ball pythons, but if you have, venomous animals, so if you have any venomous animals in some areas, even the larger reed ticks or something like that, and they're such beautiful animals, all of them, but you might have to get a permit. So check with your wildlife commission and find out if you need a permit before you move forward and buy all these animals and then they come and take them all away. That would just be so awful. But yeah, Bruce Wayne is like one of the first males that I got, and he was the one that I was like, hey, I think we can do that with him. I think we can breed him. And so far, so good. I mean, he's probably a little confused right now because normally whenever I take him out of his tank, he's either, or I open his tank, it's either to clean, get fed, or, do the Watusi and go get him some, But anyway, guys, let me go ahead and wrap up with number 5. And number 5, I'll leave Bruce Wayne out. And it's like how I close all of my videos, enjoy the time that you spend with your reptiles. So the number 1 way to determine if this is a good business for you, because this is, these animals live for a long time, right? Is if it's fun to you. So if you really like taking care of reptiles, cleaning up shit, changing water, feeding animals, and going through the long drives, driving all the way across town, getting things in the mail as frozen rats, going to shows and things like that, and just pretty much talking to other reptile nerds, whether they breed ball pythons or if they breed rat snakes, which are very, very cool. If they breed Luciano's geckos, if they breed in a frilled dragon, if they can do that. Blue monitors. Blue Nile monitors. Is that a blue Nile monitor? A blue tree monitor. It's crazy. But that's how excited I get about reptiles. You can ask anybody who knows me. I'm excited about all reptiles. They don't have to be the ones I'm keeping. I'm interested in how do you do it? What's it like? How long have you been doing it? Why did you pick that species? It's just a lot of questions. The same type of questions I had when I was a kid, I can have in the reptile industry because, yeah, those are the type of people that get into reptiles. They're not normal people. You know what I mean? They're people that want to do something different. Yeah, we all have dogs and cats, but if you have reptiles, that's pretty different. People will definitely treat you differently going forward. But hey guys, that's all I got is those 5 things. Hopefully that was really quick. And I just thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope that this is helping. And if nothing else, guys, enjoy the time that you spend with your reptiles and enjoy the time that you have with your family. Thank you.